Hi, and welcome to our first episode of VaynerX Presents Marketing for the Now. I'm Andrea Sullivan, the CMO of VaynerX, and I'm here with Gary. How are you doing, Gary?
I'm doing great, Andrea. Proud of you. This is an insane event. Hello, everybody. I know we've got like 5,000 people and incredible guests, and so I'm thrilled to be here, Andrea.
Yeah, we've got a pretty killer lineup today. So we're going to kick things off with Alex Rodriguez, but we've also got Marcel Marcondes from ABI, Jill Gregory from NASCAR, Ann Lewnes from Adobe, Gail Tifford from WW, Chris Bruzzo from EA, Carolyn Everson from Facebook, and Kenny Mitchell from Snapchat.
Big time.
Marketing for the Now is it's a 6-part series, and in future episodes, we're going to double down on a whole bunch of different topics like Gen Z, e-commerce, the shifting media landscape, gaming and esports, and a lot more. And don't worry, we'll be recording these sessions. This one's 2 hours. We know it's a long one. And we'll be sharing them on VaynerX.com, and we'll be sure to let you know when they're ready on all of our social channels as well. And if you guys can keep the conversation going with us on Twitter, hashtag marketing for the now, we'd love to hear some of your questions and your thoughts. So first up, we have no less than Alex Rodriguez. In addition to being a beloved athlete and a media icon, Alex is the founder and CEO of ARod Corp and a co-owner of Presidente, a Dominican beer brand operated by ABI. So Gary, if you can help me in welcoming Alex.
I sure can. As a diehard sports fan, 19-year-old me is losing his mind right now. And so, Alex, thanks for being here. For everybody, let me just jump in. I'm going to try to move it along. I've notoriously on my podcast get blamed for interrupting and things of that nature. And that's because usually I have 45 minutes. I have to get the next meeting and the person does. These are going to be 15-minuters. So it's going to go quick. We're going to get to as many things as we can, but I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Alex, what blows me away about you is not only are you an actual Hall of Fame athlete, which is such rarefied air, but as I've gotten to know you over the last 3 or 4 years, your ambition and entrepreneurial savvy is going to put you eventually in the Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame. I don't like co-signing people because I don't like being wrong, but I've been blown away by your tenacity and humility coming off the platform you've come from and jumping in. Right off the bat, what are you leaning into as an entrepreneur during this period that we're all dealing with? What's manifested in these last 75 days from a personality trait?
Yeah, look, Gary, thank you for welcoming me. Happy to be here. One of the things that I'm looking at, since we have this will be a sprint, not a marathon, I'll talk in small bites, but the bottom line is Joe Torre, my New York Yankee manager, taught me, Alex, when you have a rain delay, those that go in the back room and eat burgers and pizzas and fries end up like zeros. You stay prepared, keep your jersey on, get on the bike, stay warm, keep your mind in the game. And then when you go out there, you're going to close like a champion. I am looking at this COVID-19 as a rain delay. The game's not over. We will continue. And whoever's best prepped in this time will win later. So I'm preparing for later, and I'm positioning my company to be in a better position than we were before.
How do you translate that energy as somebody who's lived it, is in that mindset, to your direct reports and the individuals in your ecosystem who, let's just shoot it straight, may not have the financial, stability that you have, to invest mentally in the long term? How do you impose that on somebody who might be making, $70K a year or $200K a year, but has expenses? Like, that's been a big thought of mine. Have you been thinking about that?
Well, I've done two things, and we have teams all over the place. We have a big team in New York, big team in LA, and obviously here in South Florida. We have not cut one person. We haven't cut 1% of one salary. And the reason why, even though it's justified in this moment to do that, because obviously the income and the revenue is not the same, I wanted to make sure that at the darkest moment, ARod Corp shined and we were there for them. And that's one of the great advantages, I believe, in working in a company like ours. We really think about our team first. And so that's one. Number two, my West Coast team, they go to sleep to my emails. They wake up to my emails. And I'm up before them in the West Coast, and I'm usually sleep after them. So it's being active, is never sleeping, and is really just being all in. leaning into it.
What have you observed from others? Who or what corp, what organization, government, business, human being? Give me a hot take on 2 to 4, 3 things that have stood out for you, things you've seen out in the zeitgeist from other leaders. Anything catch ARod? Okay.
Yeah, Anheuser-Busch is one because they're a big conglomerate, right? Like Google or Disney or ABC, they're ABI, and they're gritty. They really care about the bottom line. They don't turn the ball over like we say in sports. They really stay in their lane. They think outside the box. And those are things with my partnership with Presidente that I've really enjoyed watching them.
Was that a pleasant surprise for you, right? You're doing this big partnership with them on this beer, which I'm fired up about. And Marcel, who's coming on next. We're always open to work on this brand. I know we work with Budweiser and others, but we'll talk about that next. But was that obviously, Marcel's in the waiting room. He's coming on next. So you need to be politically correct. I respect that. And I mean this because I want this to be a transparent day. But was it nice to see such a big company? And listen, I want everybody who's watching, ABI, this is common knowledge. Like, they're a big player in China. They got hit there early first. It's not like they're unbelievable. These are real business challenges, and yet still showing you humanity, even though when they're having business challenges. For you, did that kind of catch you off guard? Were you just pleasantly surprised? Did you expect that because you like the way you've been onboarding with them? What happened there?
Well, usually I just loved how quickly they're able to move. I mean, usually you don't see a cruise ship move like a speedboat. And that's exactly what they did when we announced in Houston our partnership. Jennifer and I came onto stage. There was about 3,000 or so customers of ABI. And literally I got an email 4 days later and they're saying, hey, we've decided to do a Super Bowl commercial. And I said, well, how can that be? The Super Bowl is like in 10 days. And they said, we're doing it. It went, and it was a huge success. And really excited to see a company that big be that nimble.
Alex, what about what's going on in the sports business world? Obviously, we've got a lot of CMOs on the back, so I want to fill out this program. Anything stand out in sports right now? How are you thinking about sports? What are we going to see from, when is it coming back? What's some of your hot takes and understandings?
There's some people out there, whether it's business or sports teams, that love debt or are in those teams could be in some trouble because the loss of revenues are going to be massive, more than people can even imagine. And they'll trickle down to 21 and 22. What's interesting is some businesses like Michael Rapino over at Live Nation, one of the best CEOs around, more than 90% of the people have not wanted a refund. So that's great news for Live Nation. Great news.
Wow. Is that the number that's being thrown around?
90% have kept, and which tells you people love live experiences. They're going to feel good. This is their comfort food.
Oh, they can't wait.
They're not giving up that ticket to Bon Jovi or Beyonce or Jay-Z or J-Lo, whoever it is. That number, Gary, stood out to me. 90% kept their tickets. Impressive.
Social, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. What has the ARod and family clan, you as an individual, as a content creator, I've been seeing some pretty epic TikToks from you and Jen and the fam. Like, what's your observations there? Anything catching your mind? Anything you're personally hot on, or people around you?
Yeah, some really embarrassing ones too on the TikTok front. We've had a lot of fun and gotten really creative here, which is hard for me, but we continue. One of the things I've learned from you is using every platform. Don't just be biased to one. Use each platform. I got to get better at using each platform a little bit differently. It's hard, but Nadeem, who loves you, he's always around me, and he does a great job with Jason and Ashley and our digital team. But once talking to you and Andrea, one of the things that I did, even with Reed, is I tripled down on my team. When I first met you, I had 0. Now we have 6 or 7 in our team. And then Jennifer's getting into it too, and her content's getting better. And she's a content machine. So we're being aggressive. We're still trying to be sensitive to the times, but somehow bringing value to those people at home, because right now is a time where champions are built.
Segueing a little bit to give you a little bit of the floor, what are you excited about? What are you hoping in the next 6 months to a year the world knows about you or what you're up to? You've got a real mass amount of people watching this right now. Like, what are you looking for them to know about the masses?
Well, I mean, I think, we have, we do two things at ARod Corp. We do a real estate, which we're fully integrated. We've been doing it for 20 years. We have around 8,000 apartments all over the Southeast. And we've done really, really good things there. On the PE and venture side, we're owners of about 20 to 25 companies. And it's interesting, they've been kind of broken into thirds. A third are doing really bad. A third are kind of floating, and a third have never done better. And it's just been really interesting to work with our founders, our boards, and really, really be involved. One of the most exciting partnerships that I've ever done, and probably you can't say that about your kids, but Presidente is probably number one because it's from Dominican Republic. It was founded in 1935, and it's such an organic marriage. The day I signed, you called me, you congratulated me right away. Said, this is a winner. How can I help?
I'm a big fan when things are just blatantly obvious. Right. And so to me, I think a lot of people do brand deals and partnerships and business deals where they're just chasing money. And that deal that was literally one of my favorites. Obviously I knew both parties, didn't know about the deal, but knew both parties. So it just made a ton of sense. Alex, what about the way you're thinking about influencer, collaborations? One of the things that I thought was super interesting about you early on was when you kind of made this switch to this, you reached out to me. I watched you do other things with others. Like, how do you think about, one thing I'm completely fascinated with right now, I saw Spencer X do something with Alicia Keys. Spencer X, for everybody who doesn't know, is a TikTok influencer who's one of the top 10 on the platform, though I know 98% of people, when I just said that, don't know who that is. I think you're extremely savvy with attention and culture. You're busy, back to content creation, but how much, you did the Barstool podcast, JB, right? Mm-hmm. I think you've been very clever on collabs, like a music artist that's trying to get into other genres. Has that been on purpose? Have you seen that? Is that something you want to do more of? Where do you sit with thoughtful collaborations where audience exchange is happening?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's Charlie from TikTok or whether it's Ed Milet or is you and I doing something, but it's really tapping into a different set of people that are not in my everyday life. I mean, I'm in baseball 24/7. So the 58, 59-year-old white male is going to know
who you are.
Well, right? And that fan is going to follow me to CNBC. And again, very 1%. So when I thought about Barstool, I thought about my daughter's generation, the college generation. When I walk in colleges today, they'll tell me, oh my God, the Kobe Bryant podcast, the Gary Vee podcast. They don't tell me about the World Series. They don't tell me about home runs. They know me as a business person, entrepreneur, who is talking to them and is educating them with some good nuggets through their podcast. It's a powerful thing.
Final question. Maybe I'll get one more in, but if I don't get this one in, I'm going to be devastated. Alex, I believe that your SP rookie card, perfectly graded, is one of the most underpriced assets in the world right now. Much like real estate, sports cards have been grossly underpriced. I've been yelling about it for a year. Now it's going mainstream. The Journal, the Atlantic, everyone's writing about it. Yes or no, are you planning on buying every one of your own rookie cards because it might be a bigger financial win than even all these incredible business ventures you're in?
I would love to buy it, and if you can broker that,
I'm on it
together. I'm
on it, bro. I'm telling you, it's super underpriced. I mean, I view you winning culture over the next 50 years, and I think it's just going to keep going up. So you need to get on that. Any parting shots, since I think I got one more minute?
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you for having me. I just want to encourage everybody out there. These are tough times, no question about it. But just like I would tell my Yankee teammates, stay ready, stay prepared, stay physically fit, and when in doubt, attack.
What's your Twitter handle? Because I see everybody, hashtag marketing for the now. I see all of you. I'm sharing it. We're going to blow up Twitter in these 2 hours.
ARod.
As it should be. ARod, thank you so much, brother. Stay healthy. Say hi to Jen. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it.
All right, man.
Great. We're super fired up to continue the conversation. We've got Marcel Marcondes up next. He is the Chief Marketing Officer of Anheuser-Busch in the U.S., and Marcel leads marketing for Budweiser, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, Stella Artois, and is responsible for a transformation within his marketing org, where people are always at the center of everything he does. Thanks for joining us, Marcel.
Thanks for having me. Hello,
Marcel,
Gary.
how are you, my man?
Good, my brother. How are you doing?
For everybody watching, one of my favorite marketers to interact with. Ironically, and I want to be really crazy transparent on this show. Both of us are running so fast. This is on me because he's the client. We're not spending as much time as I'd like. So I love this. We've been actually have a rally of spending more time together over the last couple of months. One of the nice things from a business standpoint with COVID. Marcel, I find you to be one of the more creative CMOs that I work with. How important is creativity? Though subjective, right? Beauty in the eye of beholder. But when I say the word creativity, how do you think of that as one of the most important CMOs in the world on some of the most iconic brands in a category that has a lot of permission to be creative?
Well, thanks for the words, Gary, and hello again. I think that creativity nowadays is kind of your ticket to play, because we were just talking about how many social platforms you have to work with, and how much people are going through second screens, third screens, endless screens. Like, unless you are creative, you don't grab people's attention, and therefore you don't even start a conversation, and therefore you do not exist.
Yep. Optimism has been very obvious to me observing from afar. For disclosure for everybody, we work with Highball, we work with Budweiser in the domestic market. Most of the brands within the ABI portfolio, other agencies work with Marcel on, and I've been very fond of some of the work across the board. Obviously, very proud of our Budweiser work, but Marcel, it seems that optimism through the lens of entertainment has been a theme that I've noticed from even the work. We don't necessarily talk about that. I think, am I right? Is that, I'm kind of watching it. It seems like you've doubled down on this during this time. Am I pinning it? Am I not? Like, thoughts when I say that?
I think you're completely right, Gary. For a simple reason, we're humans. And especially in times like this, we all need some optimism. Like, if you turn on the TV, you're going to watch the news all the time. It's all about how many people are dying, right? That's all the people consume. So we need more than ever some optimism. We need to see the bright side. We need to enjoy all the opportunities we can. And also we need to talk a little bit about how do we get out of this in a better way, so that we can make good plans instead of just being consumed by fear. And this takes us to something that you mentioned in the beginning, like people centricity, right? It applies to creativity and to anything we need to do in marketing. If there's one thing that for me, it's like we've just reached the point of no return, is on people centricity. Like, yeah. If there's any person or any company still trying to do something because this is what I think is best for me, but without making sure that it's what people are really expecting, or without being sure that it's relevant for people, it's gone. Optimism is something that people care about now, maybe more than ever.
What's been the biggest challenge for you over these 75 days? 90 days, whatever we're now in, you're sitting in this massive global company. Like I mentioned earlier in the ARod talk, by being a company that does a ton of business in China at a macro level, the organization felt the effects earlier than US only centric businesses. What's been the biggest challenge for you personally, in the micro or the macro as an organization?
The biggest challenge that I face still is to redefine the agenda so we can pivot fast. Because we're pivoting everything, all the plans. We're adjusting all the plans, all the programs, all the content to the new routines that people are having, to the new consumption occasions that people are having. So we have to pivot fast. And therefore it starts from within. You have to change your routine, you have to change your processes so that the outcome changes as well.
How do you go fast when you're so humongous?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you have to over communicate, I guess, with your team. Over communicating in times like this is crucial. And you have to be obsessed about consumer information. So the more you understand which are the shifts that people are making, the more confident you get about the pivots you need to make. So instead of talking too much about what if this, what if that, let's test 3 options, you say from here to there, this is it, let's go. You become more decisive.
So just clicking down, because what's really incredible about this VaynerX Presents situation is this lineup is insane. by the way, everybody's watching right now. I saw all your shots. I'm looking at it right now on Twitter with me and ARod. And I understand that Marcel and I, well, I'm not going to speak for Marcel, but we're not as handsome as ARod, but we need some screenshots and I need some Marcel quotes in there with hashtag marketing for the now. Speaking of which, Marcel, so because there's so many CMOs, senior marketers, it's a really interesting audience. There's probably 20% social media active individuals and the rest is our industry. So there's a lot of leaders in here who could easily be on as guests and will probably be on as we do this 6-week kind of adventure, who probably really paid attention to that last part. So to that part, what have you actually done internally? Let's get right to, like, I'm gonna force a double click here, because it's great in theory. What can you share that you've actually done that has helped your organization in any shape from communication or speed?
Okay, so let's talk about something that you and I did together, Gary, right?
Okay,
so
that's good. That makes me happy.
No, exactly, right? So we see that there's millions of people that are now doing the virtual happy hours,
that's
right?
Oh,
First, because they want to socialize, and also because they need mental health. They need to connect with people. We're humans, right?
100%.
So we brought back WhatsApp, the campaign.
WhatsApp!
From decades ago. But it's not just because we felt like, well, this is a cool campaign, let's bring it back. There's a reason, right? So that was a relevant piece of content for the times that we're living now. It was all about saying, do not forget to reach out to your friends and family, right? So reach out to them, ideally with a bud, right? So that you can be in a good mental health. And this is what people are doing. So it's all about being contextually relevant to what people are looking for in a creative way. This is one of the examples that drove amazing results. And by the way, we did it together.
I love that. What about internal comms? Have you been surprised how well the marketing and sales organizations have been working on Zoom, Google Hangouts, Microsoft Meets, WebEx, I don't know, Blue Jeans, I don't know what you guys are using. I've used them all at this point. Have you been surprised or did you expect that to be true?
I'm extremely surprised. Being very honest, we were very skeptical about our ability to stay productive working like this. And I'm pretty sure that the big majority of us are saying, you know what? It's really surprising. It's really impressive how much we're still managing to drive business continuity with a very high level of productivity using those virtual tools. So it's a very big and positive surprise.
Back to going fast, because again, I'm now thinking 80% internal executives at Fortune 5000 companies. Do you think casting matters for speed? Like, is it just a human thing? Like, do you feel like you have people in your team that just naturally, if I was on your team, I'm an entrepreneur trait in person, I'd only want to go fast, probably breaking things, and you probably have to fire me eventually. But, do you feel it's a casting thing? Do you think that some people inherently just like fast and other people just like process?
Maybe yes, Gary. I think yes. Some people are more open to that and they enjoy, and some people perform better in that kind of environment. Other people don't. But regardless of that, I think everybody needs to get adapted to that because
you have no choice.
That's the norm, period. Right? Especially for us. I love to hear Alex saying, speaking about Anheuser-Busch, exactly how come a big company moves as fast as this. And by the way, he's been an amazing partner. This is one of our top 5 mantras. We got to move fast. We like to believe that we're still a small startup that became big, but that's how we move.
Switching gears for the 20 to 30% that I know are just entrepreneurs, Gary Vee fans, youngsters, a lot of college. How did you get into the marketing industry? Little, very personal story. I'd love to, by the way, a lot of people asking me about Marcel's Twitter handle. I just ironically followed him. So I'm going to share that right now. I'm going to tweet his last post I'm retweeting it right now from February 3rd. So I just did that so you can all follow him. Marcel, you're about to explode your Twitter here.
Love it. Thank you.
How did you personally get into you personally, very personal, not how should they, how did you get into the marketing business? Because I think there's 5 to 10 people right now where their life can change. They're going to get excited by this 2 hours and decide they want to be a brand manager or a CMO one day instead of being an entrepreneur. How did you do it?
How do I do it, or how do I get it? I mean, back to the beginning.
How did you do it? Back to the beginning. Young Marcel.
Okay. All right. Now, my big thing was to feel like I would be able to influence people behavior, period. And that was the question that I needed to answer. And I decided by trying multiple things that by building brands, I would be able to deal with a lot of the creative work that I was also very passionate about, but in a way that would be able to influence people's behavior. And that was the whole beginning. By the way, I started my career as a trainee for Unilever, and Fernando Machado and I started together in the very same group of trainees.
Is that right? Tell everybody who Fernando is for the people that don't know. It's
the global CMO for RBI, right? So Burger King, as people usually know them. So since the 90s, we're exchanging best practices and talking about advertising and having beers, burgers, and pizzas, talking about it. So there's a lot of passion, but also a big desire to make an influence on people's behavior.
Do you, a little rapid fire, do you pay attention to other brands in your own category or other categories, or not at all, or a lot? How do you play when you're just curious, competition, inspiration? How do you personally play with following what other people are doing, whether it's commercials, whether it's digital content? You personally, do you follow your category, every other category but yours, both, not a bunch of either? What's your personal world on that? Because you're busy and you have a family, you have sitting down and other content.
So the straightforward answer is the following. For my category and for the alcoholic industry, I have a process for that because I have to know what's going on. So there's a natural process embedded in my routine already so that I can be aware of everything that is going on. Beyond the category is all about all the interactions we have with amazing people from the industry and my personal curiosity because I love this business. But I'm constantly looking for inspiration. We can never stop learning. Things are changing way too fast for us to believe that we know how to get things done.
It's audacious.
Exactly. It's just bizarre. So we need to feel like we're learning every day. Otherwise, it's for sure going to have trouble tomorrow.
Marcel, what in the last 3 minutes or so that we have, what have we not touched on that you're proud of, you're curious about, that you want people thinking about, that's important to you? Selfish, selfless. What's on your mind? 90 seconds.
I think it's something that you and I always talk about, Gary, which is all about taking calculated risks.
Yeah.
I guess for marketers, it's all about making decisions every day. And although we're always going to try to get some answers so that we can make informed decisions, we will never have all the answers we need. So this is why I always go, especially for people willing to move really fast like us, even the way we speak, and I try to learn from you on how to speak even faster. Right? So for me, the more we understand what's going on with consumers, the more comfortable we get by making decisions, because you are more precise on what is exactly the point that you want to address.
Marcel, what about you with social networks personally? And it's okay if you do none of them. I'm just always curious. Is there any that you like? Are they native to you? Do you feel comfortable in them? Do you create anywhere? Do you use any?
I do use LinkedIn. I use Facebook. I use Instagram. But I have to say, basically, more as an observer than like
you're listening.
Yeah, more. I'm more active on LinkedIn because I share what we do at work. On the other ones, I'm more paying attention to what's going on, to use that as inspiration to what's trending and where people are going to.
I love it. And then final points. Anything on TikTok? It's the kind of hot thing right now. Have you consumed it? Family members? I know we've talked about it. You know, obviously it starts off young, which is always a place alcohol is going to be like, okay, we have to wait. You know, your personal including have no thoughts on it. Haven't gotten there yet. Been under the pandemic too much. Like, any hot takes on TikTok from your perspective?
I guess the most straightforward answer I can give you is that I cannot wait until we can play. We can be part of it. Right.
I love that.
And I know you're there waiting for that opportunity as well.
I can't wait. I'm hungry.
Together.
We're going to am I going to curse? Yeah, we're going to fucking dominate once we get in there together. So looking forward to it. Marcel, thank you so much, brother. I know how busy you are by having you as a client. I know what's going on in your world. For you to take this time for everybody. I'm really pumped. I really need you to go on Twitter. I know you're not the most active, but I'm telling you right now, this is a real moment for you. People are quoting some things you've said, tagging you. It's a real nice moment. Spend 15 minutes and enjoy it. Get to know some people. I know you can help a lot of them.
I will do it for sure. And I'm always looking forward to learning from them as well. Thank you so much, man. Now it's great talking to you.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
That was great. Next up, we've got Jill Gregory, who's the Chief Marketing Officer of NASCAR. Jill has been driving transformation at NASCAR for a long time, both through digital and social first strategy, but she has had to pivot her business super fast and can't wait to hear a little bit more about that. Welcome, Jill.
Jill, how are you?
Good, Gary. How's it going? Thanks for having me. This is an amazing forum you put together.
Yeah, Andrea, honestly, I was going to interrupt. I'm trying to do a good job today. While she was introducing you, I was going to give her some daps. This is going to be, no question, the crowning moment so far of Andrea's career at Vayner. This format is going to live forever. There's something very special in these first two interviews, and I know you're going to keep us going with that, especially with the cool news at NASCAR as being such pioneers in this, and we'll get into that in a minute. I also have the luxury of interacting with you here and there and doing some work together. I find you extremely sharp, and I'm really excited you're here. And because of what I just saw with Marcel, ARod was easy on Twitter. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's on Twitter right now and sharing. You're making this very interesting for a lot of people. It was just really fun to see all the hype that Marcel just got. And I think I'm excited to see what the quotes and the things you're going to get. So right off the bat, because I'm going to change up here, I move fast. What is your Twitter handle if you know it? I don't know how active or not active you're on it, because I want to make sure the audience, because it's really interesting what's going on in there.
Yes, I am active. It's at Jill Gregory 6. I wouldn't say I'm the most prolific tweeter in the world, but
you're about to be. You're about to be.
About to be. Yes. Building my following.
Here we go. So Jill, right off the bat, let's get right to the big topic. NASCAR is live and has caught an enormous amount of, excitement, attention, and so many of us needed it. I saw, I'm always listening. So an ungodly amount of people watch NASCAR for the first time because they just needed some sort of fix. Take the floor for 3-4 minutes and give us the 411 on what happened there. Catch up the people that don't know, and let's just get right into one of the more interesting case studies during the COVID crisis.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. I mean, we are live. We raced last night. It was about midnight. We got kind of wrapped up. We had a little weather, which kind of at least provides a little bit of normalcy to us. I mean, weather's never our friend, but we went back racing on May 17th, which was last Sunday, put together an amazing event. No fans. First time ever in our history to not race in front of fans. Had to do it with an absolutely a procedure and policy that turned upside down, but we were able to deliver live sports to an amazing audience on Sunday and then again last night. And, obviously we all know we're sports fans. The public is starved for live sports content. So we knew going into it, we had a huge responsibility, but we had a huge opportunity to bring back live sports. And we knew we were going to have our core fans there. They've been dying for us to come back, but we knew we were going to have a whole new set of eyeballs, curious about what NASCAR is all about, trying to understand what we were all about, and just consume sports. So it was a ton of work trying to get to this point. We're all navigating through a new normal. Marcel said it, you said it. Nothing is the same, but the core product that we have is the same. And so we're just trying to figure out how to deliver it to all of these new fans at a time when they are open to receiving it. So it's been a great experience so far.
Get us down and dirty to as much as you're willing. I'm really, this is why I decided to host it, because I want to go there. How insane were the conversations, leading up to that decision? Being the first, literally, I am such a fearless, kind of character. And literally that last week, I told my operating team, we will not be the first people back in the office in New York because of fear. Because I don't want to be first. I don't want to be first. I want to be the fast follower. it's incredible the courage it took for you to go there. How contentious with your fellow C-suite executives, how much fear the teams carry a lot of weight.
Yep.
You got the Gibbs and this and like, give me something. Give me an exclusive here, Jill. I'm trying to make this VaynerX thing, marketing for now, like the hot thing. Like I need an exclusive here that travels kind of sports business journal. Give me a nugget. Help me here, Jill.
I'll give you the scoop. I will say, Gary, there were probably 68 different versions of a schedule to come back. And we were in debates on the governor of South Carolina versus the governor of Pennsylvania and Tennessee, and really being caught in all of this political conversation.
That must have gotten gnarly.
You try to stay out of that. You're being, concerned that you're being kind of put into a situation that you don't want to be in. I think we had to stick to, okay, what is physically possible? And to your point, we are an industry that is very fragmented. We have a ton of different stakeholders. Everybody's got an opinion. And I will say that piece was pretty gratifying. Everybody wanted to go back racing. Everybody, I think, had the butterflies. Someone said it the other day in one of our meetings, we finally feel like a driver feels when he's strapping into the car, for the Daytona 500. That's how we felt going back racing, because it was a huge risk. You guys talked about risk in this last panel. And, it is much, I guess, easier to be that fast follower. But we knew
100%.
that we had to be bold. We had a chance. We had to take it. And, it actually went much more smoothly than we could have hoped. But every single week, every time we do it, there's a new set of parameters. I think that's the hardest part about what we're all navigating through.
State by state.
It's constantly changing, and there's no consistency. It's kind of, at the decision of folks that you don't have any influence over. So it's been an interesting, usually we have a cadence. We know where we're going to race and what we're going to do. We're all planners. We kind of know what we have to deliver. And this has been, okay, whatever you did yesterday, rip it up, because we're starting from square one again today. And that's been the 2 months of work that's gone into it.
Breaking news, marketing for the now hashtag is now massively trending on Twitter. I'm giving Marcel and Jill all the credit, nothing to me and ARod. And Jill, you are getting absolutely bombarded with your handles. So I'm excited for your new friendships. So everybody who's watching right now, screenshot, use the hashtag marketing for the now, use the Zoom URL to get some more people in here, let them register and join. We've got an hour and a half left. Jill, let's go. I really like that part of what I did with Marcel. When we launched Vayner Sports, 50,000 people emailed me and DM'd me of joining the company, all shapes and sizes, men, women, 90-year-olds, 9-year-olds. You are doing something right now that I know that an ungodly amount of young women in my community are aspiring to be, which is to be at the tippy top of the sports world. I'm sure when you were introduced for a whole crew of like, this is the CMO of NASCAR, they're like, look at this, right? Like people, it's unfortunate people still think that way, but I think you're a massive inspiration for a big audience. How did your career start, and how did you get to the apex of the marketing sports world?
Yeah, I think that, again, and like Marcel said, you get your first entry point and you got to make the most of it, right?
Who were you in high school? Who did you think you wanted to be? High school Jill says, one day I'm going to grow up and be...
High school Jill, I think, wanted to be a sports anchor.
Love.
Yeah, couldn't play. So I was a tennis player. That wasn't going to go that far. So always loved sports. So thought that, sports anchors would be the right way to go. What happens to college?
Quickly to college, Jill. What happens to college, Jill?
College Jill worked at the local, we had a radio station on campus. We had a newspaper, digital and social wasn't quite where it is today at that point, but just excited to work at the paper, and quickly found out that print journalists didn't make that much money. So,
So what did early 20s Jill do?
So I got into sports marketing, worked at an agency. I worked for clients. We were doing on-premise promotions to watch NBA games and, getting people to drink more beer. Miller Beer was one of my clients at the time. And I'm like, wow, you can make a living going out to bars and watching Golden State Warrior games. And it was, I've quickly found out that you could make, have fun doing it and make a living in sports. And so after that, it was relationships that parlayed everything into the next opportunity.
Talk to me about NASCAR in a traditional versus digital environment. Back to a lot of marketers here. Where are you finding wins in traditional? Where are you finding wins in digital? And where are you finding losses in traditional? And where are you finding losses in digital? If I give you those 4 boxes, how do you think about that when you hear, whether it is as your role as CMO of NASCAR or, knowing that you've got your hands in other things, whether the boards, your personal observations / things that you're seeing as a leader?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, Gary, we were very traditional, very formulaic, if you will, big television commercials. We had institutional inventory with big TV partners, and we flipped that upside down and started going digital and social first. I knew that was where the personal relationship with our fans was going to be. We have millions of passionate fans. They just crave information about NASCAR, and what digital allowed us to do and social allowed us to do is bring those fans closer to the sport, learn more about the drivers, learn more about what we were doing. A great example of that, even in the last 2 months that we've been not racing, is that we had an esports partnership with Iracing. We put our Iracing platform on Fox, and millions of fans watched a virtual race on Big Fox when we were not racing at a racetrack. And so,
that was huge. That was huge. And I thought had real long-term opportunities for you. What have you learned from that?
Yeah. Well, 2 things. I think one is that's, we always knew it was a gateway to new fans. We've constantly got a stated goal to get younger and more diverse in our fan base. We know once people taste NASCAR that they're hooked, but we got to get us in front of more people. And the iRacing product is a way to do that. 2 million new fans watched the iRacing broadcast and that had never watched a NASCAR race before. So now we got to bring all those fans along when we're racing for real. And I think the other thing is that the drivers, we always knew authenticity and kind of getting that peek underneath the helmet was important. But when the general public can look in and see, one of our drivers in their slippers, in their house, the kid walking in, ruining the iRacing broadcast because she hit the wrong button on the remote, really relatable to what we're all going through in this current situation. And it made those drivers more human and more interesting. And we got to do more of that as we come back online.
What have you admired from other marketers? There's a lot of other marketers on here. Any brand, any commercial? We didn't do this. We work a little bit with Frito-Lay, but I saw TVC I liked from Frito-Lay. Anything from you personally, unofficially?
I think what we're seeing, as I saw just in our past race this past weekend, Coca-Cola broke new creative in our race, really recognizing restaurant workers, which, not a cause, probably not a national campaign that they ever would have done before. So see different brands trying to use this situation to try new things. Marcel talked about calculated risk, and it's not going to be perfect, but what do you do to make the right choice? What I'm admiring is I see a lot of brands trying something new and different and trying to turn the situation into an opportunity versus, a detriment to the business.
Any back to the quadrants, anything in digital or traditional really on the scales of we're really excited about what's going on here, or we're starting to really question? I think I want to get thought leadership out of this day. And so I'm genuinely curious what your take is on the thing that's most underpriced and overpriced from a marketing standpoint, from your purview, because every business acts different.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing right now is that, we knew that the digital offerings and what we can use to connect with the fans, we knew that was important. But as we're bringing a lot of new fans into our franchise now, the ability to curate different content and explain our sport to, a wide swath of fans, we can't just deliver the same information and the same NASCAR to the television viewer, to their NASCAR.com user, to our app user. AKA
different cohorts, right? The young Latino male on the West Coast that's into surfing is going to have to hear it differently than the 37-year-old, cliche NASCAR already fan. They're going to have to hear different terminology.
They absolutely will. And we have to explain it to them, give them a reason to watch. I mean, we can't just say, hey, it's a sport and get too insider with everything. We have to speak directly to that fan on the West Coast. And, we knew we had to do a little bit of that, and we would change messaging maybe throughout a season. I think what this situation's showing us is each and every week, we've got to customize different messages, curate different content. We revamped our entire NASCAR.com offering this past weekend because we knew a lot of new fans would be coming and they would have really no idea how to follow NASCAR. So we're using all of our different offerings to teach different fans and find that sweet spot on what's going to make them care.
Social networks, as we're getting towards the end here, you personally as a human, what's your favorite person or account to follow? Anything stand out?
Well, I got to say, I'm a huge Chrissy Teigen fan on Instagram. Like, who isn't? I'm using as an escape. As Marcel said, I observe a lot. I like to see people that are taking a really aggressive approach and reinventing themselves or inventing themselves and defining themselves. So, what we're seeing is our drivers have a big chance to do that. It's a big step. You got to put yourself out there. But I think that what we've seen is that when our drivers do more, then they get that reaction. So, I think there are a lot of influencers and folks that are doing it right. And, it's our chance to take a lesson from all of that and push it with our own drivers.
Let me keep milking my time until they kick me out here. Audio, podcast, Spotify's ad products, how much or how little has audio hit your radar, and what's your thoughts on its potential?
It hasn't really, it's hit our radar in terms of the analysis of what we should be doing. I think we had a pretty robust plan to get a little more involved in that space as the season progressed this year. As of Friday the 13th, no coincidence, when we stopped racing, a lot of those things were turned upside down. I think the other thing we looked at, not audio related, but just with TikTok and our drivers, no one would have foreseen in March that, that platform has grown the way it has. We got to figure out you did, I know. How do we make that, turn that into an advantage for us too? So I think
call me. I got ideas. Jill, thank you so much. Anything? Right. I know they're trying to wrap me up, but I've just enjoyed this, and I want to give you at least 1 minute. Anything we didn't touch on that you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm just excited that we're back racing, and excited that we have a chance to expose what we know and love about NASCAR. And it's not about cars going around the track; it's the storylines. We now have a chance to showcase all of that. Come watch. We'd love to have you, and we think we'll turn you into a fan.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Gary.
You got it.
So thanks, Jill. You just helped us jump up 6 spots on Twitter. So we're now number 20 on national trending. So thanks for that.
Good job.
Super excited to welcome Lewnes next. She is the Chief Marketing Officer of Adobe and a longtime friend. Anne is responsible for Adobe's marketing and communication efforts worldwide, and she's had to do some pretty massive pivots herself. And so super looking forward to hearing a little bit more, Anne, about what's going on in your world.
Hey, Anne, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. That's quite a setup you have back there.
Yes, this is actually my office. It's a virtual part of it, but this is like all the tchotchkes, wine, sports, wrestling. When you get to VaynerNYC headquarters, you're going to be blown away. It's a mess. I don't know if it's very COVID friendly. My entire like way of like interacting with people on top of each other and like just hanging out and being like the schpook is in real trouble. So I'm gonna have to adjust. And thank you so much. I'm gonna get right into something that blew me away. You pivoted a major summit in like, you'll give me the examples, but actually real quick, because it's been wild to see the Twitter interaction. Do you have a Twitter account and do you know the handle?
Yeah, it's at Lewnes.
Lewnes, got it. Fantastic. So let me find out while you answer this question. And let's get right into it. You had a major event and you moved very quickly, set it up for everybody. And then more importantly, because I think a lot of people have to pivot and this may or may happen again, what did you do? How did it go down? How can you move such a big thing so fast?
So on March 2nd, our conference was supposed to be March 31st in Las Vegas, the worst possible place for a COVID pandemic. And so on March 2nd, we sent out an email saying we're not going to be able to have it, but we will do a virtual conference, which was completely unplanned. So 29 days before, we were expecting 23,000 people in Vegas. It's a very long-standing event. 15 years, so people really look forward to it. So we were going to go.
And just for context, I apologize because I want people to know what do you do there?
Oh, we have 3 days of content. So all of our executives introduce new technology. That's on the first day. The second day we have inspirational speakers. So we were going to have Tom Brady, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Party.
I hate Tom Brady.
I like Gwyneth.
Gwyneth is my favorite person. Tom Brady, I want to punch in the face. Sorry, Jet fan talking. Go ahead.
That's okay. I'm trying to stomach your Jets.
Respect. Are you a Pats fan?
No. I'm a Niners fan.
Well, we don't have a rivalry, Ann. We're separate divisions.
I'm from New York, so I was a New York Giants fan. So
keep going.
On March, so we were planning to shoot it in our office because we didn't have a shelter in place at that point. So we picked March 11th to shoot the whole thing. March 11th, they shut down the entire state of California. And so we couldn't do anything in the office. And we had this big production that we were going to try and replicate in San Jose. Long story short, the next, 20 days, we had to shoot every single thing at home. So my boss, the CEO, has to shoot his segment, the head of technology. We got under the wire. We got Tom Brady, sorry. We had a video crew there in Florida where he was, and we were able to shoot him. We had 150 breakout sessions that were videotaped on Zoom. And we opened it up. So we advertised it just like we were before. We opened it up at 8 a.m. There were 17,000 people waiting there before we even opened up the conference. And over the next 2 weeks, 400,000 people viewed the content. So we got way more people. It wasn't the perfect format because, we had 3 weeks.
2 seconds.
But I was shocked that, we were able to do it at all. And people were so appreciative, like the regular folks who've been going for years and years. They were like, thank you, it was good.
Normalcy.
Yeah, and we documented the whole process because so many people have been asking us, how the hell did you do this? And so we're documenting it. We're building a virtual events platform because, oh, by the way, all of our conferences now are canceled through the end of the year.
Do you think you'll go back to real conferences when things get back to normal?
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of, energy. There's a vibe that you get from real events. But I think, everything's going to change, and all of your speakers have alluded to that. I don't think we will maybe have as many events as we previously did. We'll have certainly a much bigger virtual component. The social feed, all of that is still very vibrant. We're going to try and shoot more things live. We didn't have time to do live, and it was really hard. But I think there'll be a change. I don't think big events are going to go away. I think it's going to be a while that people want to go into a really packed room.
How are you thinking about your content platform? It's causing a lot of buzz in my arenas. I'm obsessed with content. I believe that you know, one of my favorite marketers ever is coming up next. And obviously previously I've had like, but I believe everybody who's going to be on here today, Adobe included, does not make enough contextual creative, because I think creative's overpriced, and there's a big theme for the next decade for the creative industry. What's going on in that world, that you're the foundation for so much of what I want to do. So I'm being a little selfish here, but setting you up as well. Like, talk to me about the content platform and just in general, how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, so I mean, we're the people who every creative needs in order to do what they want to do. And just a couple of...
That's a small task.
You know, that's our purpose. We do it across every single segment, and just something, you know, that's of the moment. There's never been more creativity than now. We just provision 30 million students who don't have Creative Cloud at home, so they can learn at home.
Explain to everybody what that means, because that's an amazing initiative. And I just, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even know what that actually means. Let's break that down in like proper English, like literally how much of an investment that is in reality of what you're actually doing, which is incredible.
So schools, and particularly in some underserved communities, may have Creative Cloud access at the actual school, but when kids go home, they might not be able to use the software. So what we did was pick 30 million students across different school districts, and we gave them the software for free indefinitely. And now we're producing content that can help them.
Angela, excuse me, Anne, just to give context, how much does that software cost normally, just for the context of the scale?
Probably costs about $49 a month. For the school, there's a huge discount, so it's probably about $19.99 a month. And so times 30 million. So it's not the actual cost that we're losing.
Of course. But it's a significant play. And I believe, and this is something I've been yelling to my community now, shifting out of corporate, going into my entrepreneur Gary V land, the internet is the unlock. There is nobody making a subjective call of where you came from, how much money you have, what's your gender, what's your race. The ability to create and go direct to consumer is the fundamental, most democratic thing going on in our world right now. And giving somebody the shovel and giving somebody the fork and giving somebody the screwdriver is unbelievable. I'm trying to get that mentally through people's heads. What you're able to do at your scale is really make an impact. And I'm just genuinely grateful for it as a human. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. I mean, we're doing a bunch of other initiatives. So we have a weekly drawing class that one of our amazing illustrators is doing. It's on our Adobe Live platform. We're doing a partnership with Time. There is a kind of cartoon that we've created, so a weekly cartoon, so kids can basically color, which their parents are so happy about. So that's just one segment.
Let's call a spade a spade. Besides and this is a little sad, the people that are genuinely affected by this disease, which is devastating, and my heart is out to everybody. After anybody who has a family member that is truly sick, and even worse, the next group by a country mile that's most frustrated is people with kids at home. Like, people have realized how every parent that shit on schools for the last 25 years is now kissing the school's grounds and cannot wait to shovel their children back to school.
Totally. So we're
100%.
doing what we can to help them.
Let's shoot. We're going to shoot it straight here on Marketing for Now. Parents, the fear, the utter macro fear that kids are not going back in September in the system right now is extraordinary.
Yeah, and it's not just little kids. I have 2 college-age sons who are home, and they are friggin' miserable. If we can make it through September and hopefully not January, I will be a very happy girl.
And one thing that we're passionate about at VaynerX, from the publishing side, from Tracer.tech, our infrastructure, is we genuinely believe that people are not making enough contextual creative. It's too much vanilla and it's reach. It's not relevance and up. Do you agree in a world where the marketing industry for the last 30 years, but you would also agree with me, Ann, that the industry is much more TVC brand down than the reverse. Do you, this is a selfish, general, curious question. Do you feel within the position you're in that Adobe is delivering enough contextual creative at scale through all these pipes? And if not, how are you thinking about solutions?
Yeah, so I mean, we made the change to pretty much all digit like 10 years ago, and everyone was, I remember speaking at an ANA conference and saying to Bob Leodis, we're all going to be doing digital, and everyone was like, yeah, whatever, you work at Adobe. Right. But clearly it wasn't me, it was the company that was very prescient. And I think, you know, today, I think addressable TV is a very good option. I just don't think, you know, the, blast, certainly for us, because we have a finite audience. But I think digital advertising from the get-go, you have much more opportunity to personalize it. You're not throwing money at a very broad audience. We're super personalized, super hyper surgical. And I think, you know, I'm not telling brands.
Are you like, I apologize, are you super excited about OTT, which is going to probably, I mean, it's very obvious that it's about to eat up network and cable, yet the targeting and the execution looks more like Facebook and Instagram, where you could have 39 commercials and not waste on the media spend, which is going to then lead to the biggest question, which is, how do we become a creative industry? And this is on me and my contemporaries to drive down the costs of a commercial when you have to now, and you and Gail, who's coming up next, I'm excited to talk to her about this. Like, you know, now you got to make 39 commercials for the quote unquote price of 1 or 2 or 3.
Absolutely. But you don't have to make, you know, $20 million commercials either.
No shit.
We did.
Say it again, because when I say it, it's kind of like,
Well, I can tell you, I'm not doing it. My company is doing remarkably well and is very resilient during this period. So not that people shouldn't do it for a Super Bowl or something.
Correct. Are you in love with Super Bowl as much as I am? Do you think Super Bowl is actually ironically underpriced because all of America watches?
I love the Super Bowl.
Me too.
And I hated it this year, of course.
Listen, you had a great year, Ann. I mean, you've got such a foundation.
That was a disaster.
I've watched every play of a Jets game since 1982, and I've never been to one. You've been to like 7, and I'm not crying for you.
All right, so don't cry for me, but I will say that OTT and addressable TV, we just did a campaign with Billie Eilish. The biggest price of that was, of course, Billie, and we got her early, which was great. But the actual commercial, the shooting, all of that was very, very affordable. And that was the best campaign we've ever done. And one capability that we have is the ability to, even with brand advertising, track back the annual recurring revenue that we got from that campaign. And it's probably just been our best campaign.
And as you know, and a lot of us know, and definitely Gail's business when we get to her, that upper funnel work also drives down your lower funnel CAC.
Yeah.
You know, when you have an actual when you're actually a brand and people see you in a conversion place, they buy when they know who you are. Nike doesn't need to tag you and follow you around the internet for you to buy it. Brand over everything. So I'm with you. What do you believe in? You said something very important that I'm passionate about. Do you believe the industry still today overvalues production cost and value, which is subjective, to actual business?
Yeah, so I don't want to like take away business from our agencies and production companies who buy our product. However, I do think that it has taken agencies and clients a little bit longer than it should have to make a big move to digital. And it does take 40 pieces of creative. And you do have to test all those pieces of creative. But in the long run, you know how it's performing right away. You can put in new creative if something isn't working. So I don't know, it's so much more cost effective and efficient.
And super personal, very narrow question.
Okay.
Have you had the opportunity to interact with Scott Belsky, and how's it going? Because he's one of my dearest friends. I've known him forever. I spoke at all his stuff back when he had a startup. You know, he's a super handsome man and a very smart man. How's Belsky been doing in the big machine?
He's awesome. He and I work together all the time because one of the things we're really working, so he is the head of product for all of our creative products. So what we're really doing now is trying to integrate the product with all of the marketing. So Adobe.com, 11 billion unique visitors per year. Huge property. How do we connect it better to the product so that when you press a button and you buy Photoshop on our website, you immediately go into the product so you don't have to like fuss around and find how to download. It's immediately in, and that's what Scott and I work on, and he is lovely.
He is lovely. Anything we didn't touch on to give you the floor a little bit. Anything
Maybe a couple of stats, because what we do is because we have Adobe Analytics, that's a product that pretty much every retailer and e-commerce provider uses. So we do a study. We were doing it only annually in the holiday shopping time, but we did it now to see kind of what was happening in the COVID period. Not surprisingly, e-commerce sales are up 50%. Certain categories are up huge. My favorite is pajama pants. So regular pants, diving, pajama pants, way up. Fitness equipment, way up. Booze, way up.
Speaking of booze, Ann, speaking of booze, are you a wine drinker?
I'm a decent wine drinker, but now I'm drinking vodka.
I love it. And I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. I think for, you know, when I think about this audience today, which is a lot of creators, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of, you know, executives, there may not be a better person to be speaking because you touch all parts. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you around.
Thank you. Bye.
So we're excited to have Gail Tifford join us next. Gail is the Chief Brand Officer at WW International. And Gary, I don't think I had a chance to tell you this, but when we reached out to Gail, she made me promise that you weren't going to make her do the plank competition. You know, if you were thinking about it, this is not the time to do it.
I'm too smart to do the plank with this beautiful and incredibly talented woman. Gail, thank you so much. Full disclosure, this is one of my favorite I'm going to try. I need to be, you know, I'm doing editorial today, so I don't want to turn this into like a PR gush fest. But Gail Tifford has been, her number one stat for me, has been best friends since I think they were 4 with Claude Silver, our Chief Heart Officer, who's the most important executive at VaynerX. And so there's that. She introduced me to Claude, so I forever, to my last breath, owe her for that. She was one of the most thoughtful, intuitive marketers I met in my early career when she was dominating at Unilever and was a big part of us getting to do real business there. And she's now gone on to become a major force at WW, and I'll let her explain that. Gail, thank you so much for being on.
Hi, Gary.
Hi. What's going on?
How you doing?
I'm well. You have a very, 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 very cool background. I appreciate the humor. Yeah, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Give it a little 2-3 minutes on who you are and what you're doing these days.
Okay, great. So, hey, everybody, I'm Gail Tifford. I'm the Chief Brand Officer at WW, formerly Weight Watchers. I joined a little over 2 years ago to help lead the transformation of the brand from Weight Watchers to WW, and have just been staying very, very busy, especially lately.
Gail, let's get right into it to bring as much value as possible.
Yeah.
You have a monster company. There's all these, you know, there's your organization, and then there's all the people within the community. How do you pivot during this time? You know, in general terms, but I really want to bring value today, like in very micro specific terms, as people might take what you're doing at tens of thousands and apply it to 6 people and get inspiration today and go call those 6 people, do something new. How did you do it?
So this is what I would say. I mean, it's crazy when I think about the timeline. On March 8th, we were in Denver with, you know, shoulder to shoulder with 15,000 of our closest friends at the last stop of the WW Oprah tour, which is crazy to think that we just started hearing, you know, some rumblings of COVID. Flew home in the office on Tuesday when our CEO made the decision very, very early on that we were going to close down the offices and also close down our workshops. Just for perspective, we have about 30,000 workshops a week around the world.
Say that one more time.
I'm sorry?
Say that one more time.
Okay, so
30, no, I heard everything. Just like for the people in the back. How many per week?
30,000 workshops a week in real life experiences around the world. Okay.
Fucking insane.
We were like, I will tell you, we were maniacally focused on the safety of our employees and our members. And that is all we cared about. And so boom, we shut down, and the product and tech and brand team, we pivoted to say, well, wait a minute, like, we're a community. We can't just walk away from these, you know, from all of our members. And so within 6 days, we had migrated all of those workshops to virtual workshops. We trained thousands of coaches, and we were up and running, which is—
Gail, tell the truth. Tell the truth. How ugly did you think it was going to be? And you're like, you know, you're brushing your teeth, you're working out, you're thinking about this. I know you're meticulous, T's, I's, thinking about it every second. And you definitely are thinking like, man, a lot of these people have never used Zoom or Google Hang. Like, on some real talk, how petrified were you that it was going to be a burning disaster?
Petrified, totally petrified. But, and Gary, I know this sounds trite, but we were really doing this because we were really nervous about our members not having their community, and we were really trying to do the right thing. And I do believe in karma, and I believe when you're doing the right thing, like we had some angels on our wings, and we had a ton of people who I have never worked for a company where the people in my company, they almost care too much. I'm worried about people burning out because people overnight, our product, our tech, it was like, we are going to make this happen. And the teams, I mean, talk about having focus, having clarity, having purpose and passion. And it was pretty amazing.
Gail, what has been the biggest surprise, pro and con? I need a con from you, Gail. No softballs here. You know, pro and con, biggest surprise so far, the organization, the business, the realities of what you're dealing with at this high of a level of such a big company.
I think the pro has been just like, we are all on a mission. We're a very purpose-driven company. So I think when you have, like, we have purpose and we're trying to make a profit, and the two of those things just come together really, really well. And I think that is the pro. You know, I think the con, people, when they care so much, they take everything so personally. And that's hard, especially I'm a hugger, I'm a toucher, I'm a come here. And like, when you're trying to manage teams on Zoom where it's like, you know, I just want to hug you, Gary. I miss you, you know?
I get it.
It's hard. That's the biggest challenge for me. It's like, I want to climb through the computer and I can't.
Yeah. Gail, one thing I know from afar is that your app is a pretty foundational part of your world. You know, not to divulge too many, you know, secrets, because I'm sure it's important IP, but I'm looking for scoops here, Gail. I'm trying to build a show here. So give me an insight, a data point, a surprise, because I know you've got behaviors and you're chief brand, and you come from an incredible media background. So thing I always admired you is you have that math and art thing going on. Give me a tidbit that you're allowed to that won't get Mindy upset. Like, help me here. Give me something that you're seeing, a surprise trend. You know, I've put on eight on the LBs, but I've leaned heavily into muscle gain. You'll be proud. They're starting to come in. So what have you seen? Anything stand out, both yay and a little like, uh-oh?
Yeah. So, well, what's interesting is that weightlifting is like way down and yoga is like way up. So that's number one. I mean, really watching people's behaviors and using that to bring value to them, right? I mean, in the first few weeks of COVID, I mean, people were having potato chips for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And in fact, you know, we started to use some of that, and I know we'll talk about content in a bit, but we started to use some of that in our advertising. So the alcohol consumption, I mean, and by the way, it has changed my life.
Say it one more time. I need a commercial.
No. I first of all, I have told, and I know Carolyn's going to take credit for this, but you look at referrals, and I am up there to the point where, like, I am, every time I get my text, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do it quickly. It has changed my life. Now, maybe not in the best way possible. I am now probably an alcoholic, but that's okay. But you have made it so frictionless and so exciting. Like, I always loved buying wine, and you've taken it to a whole new level.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Okay, so back to our app.
Yep.
No, I mean, so I think obviously consumer behavior, consumer sentiment, we have a social media platform within our app. I go to it every day. It is, it is food for my soul. You have a group of people, and I say this all the time, besides Disney, well, actually now with Disney, it might be the most positive place on earth. And it is like people rooting each other, and it's amazing.
I actually want to take a hard left turn, and you mentioned Carolyn. I'm going to go broad here, less marketing, because I know there's a lot of people. I'm reading the tweets. And by the way, if you're on Twitter, hashtag marketing for the now. Gail Tifford is with us. She's getting a lot of love. Marketing for the now hashtag. A lot of you are not contributing. So screen shoot, put it out there. Gail's got the best background probably of the day. So use that for your content. Gail, this is
I hope my work calmed you.
So good. So good. Gail, you were part of an inner circle that I think is the most remarkable thing that my favorite single thing in being in marketing in the last 10 years is this inner girls club that exists of some of the most like wildly creative, competent, gangster operating CMOs and senior leaderships. It's, it's evolved officially with what Shelly has done, right? It's unofficial. Maybe my greatest accomplishment in the last 10 years in the ad world is I get to be the token guy in the girls club once in a while, because I love you guys so much. Linda Boff and so, so many others, Carolyn, obviously. And it's just, Kristen and Pam and on and on. I actually think what you're doing is so remarkable that I think it should be replicated, and I'm sure it's replicated in other businesses, but I'm in enough other industries to know that what you've got going on is a little bit more special than what I've seen in Silicon Valley and the wine world and in small, give people a little color to what I'm talking about and how it's manifested maybe even during this time, because it is a true, authentic support system that I've not seen replicated.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? When I think about, so I'll just tell folks. So there is a group of women at the C-suite level in marketing and media, and we've just become like a sisterhood. And I think a lot of it started when Shelly Zellis started the Girls Lounge, and we would come together at these big group events that were mostly men, and it was a safe haven for women to come together and just be. And so through the years we've just really developed those relationships, and I was never in a sorority in college, but it's kind of what I imagine it would be, where you have a group of women that they have your back. You can them and by the way,
I've been in meetings when some people have, by the way, just for everybody else, she's going to play it humble. These are the leading female marketers in the world. Let's just call it what it is. That's what this crew is. Not that they're not keeping other people, but it is what it is. And the reality is I've been in the room when different people have referenced different people in that group with that. Let's just play out the scenario. Gail's in the room. We're in a meeting of 7. Carolyn, who's coming up next, because I just saw her come in, pop up, gets mentioned. It's only Gail that's part of this crew, that's in that crew. The rest of the 7 people are not. One person who doesn't even know Carolyn, or does know Carolyn for that matter, because it's all just business talk, we've all been there, makes any level of comment that isn't other than ridiculously flattering, and it's fucking gangster. I've seen this 9 times already. Talk about truly having their back. I've seen it twice. This is not a joke. So I'm bringing it up. It's extremely special. I've seen it twice where it was inconvenient for the person. It's one thing when it's convenient to have somebody's back. How about when it's not convenient? when the most senior person at the table with the most juice says it, and now you have to go to bat for your homie, and you know you're going to take a little bit of like a political, like it's incredible to watch, Gail. People have you guys have each other's back. Carla, like it's real.
It is real. And I feel so blessed. And the one thing, look, that I want to make clear is that I think for all of us, like we all have very healthy relationship, with men in our industry. And in fact, many of us, men were our mentors. So this is not like, a man-hating thing. This is just like Carolyn can talk about, like her eyelashes, and I could talk about my roots, and then we can talk about how we have to find $100 million in savings and how we're heading back to like the span of what we can talk about.
Oh my God, we a bunch of us got together. So I'm not kidding. Once in a while I get invited, and it's like a huge highlight for me. We had a virtual wine thing the other day, and literally I was like 2 minutes late off a client, and we're talking about hair coloring for the first 15 minutes. And I was like, this is fucking the best meeting I've ever been in. Like it was just amazing. And then Gail's got some like upside down fucking machine that you have to like do, like that I have to get. Gail, we'll talk about that another time, but like, it's really, really, really special. And I think, the reason I'm bringing it up, and maybe you can give a tidbit of how to think about it. I think the women watching right now that are in other industries or even in this industry to start their own is a big, big, big deal. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. That's been the biggest thing that I've watched from this crew. The group is big but small, and I think that it's true support. And so you got to make sure if the lowest woman on the totem pole is actually not there for true support, she's clout climbing or she's backstabbing, like she can't be there. It's a true thing.
And I tell that, I mean, look, I wish I had this group 10 years ago, right? I didn't. And I tell young women that I mentor all the time, like, don't be so busy looking for like that CMO to be your mentor. Like, look at your peers, because these are the people that you're going to rise the ranks with. And they're the ones that are going to find you your next job and have your back. And I think I often say, like, I hate the word networking. Like that to me, it makes me cringe, because it's not about networking. It's about true connection and connecting with people on a personal level, on a professional level. And if we didn't, I think the beauty of these relationships is that we can talk about everything from our children to our businesses, sometimes our husbands, but it's...
We're shooting transparent here. Always their husbands. Men, you want to have real fun insight and really like learn, like definitely join as the single man in an all-female, and I'm talking alpha crew. I mean, these ladies, I like shiver after I'm in those hangout sessions.
Back, Gary, you earned your keep with the wine you sent. Well, I'm gonna.
No, but I do love it. It is amazing. This is what I talk about, diversity and inclusion, whether it's, obviously I spend a lot of time in a lot of circles. Like I mean this, it's fun for me to analyze, because I think of all of you as just consumers when I'm marketing, and women speaking women truths is like really fun content. Like, there's a piece of content we made for Nilla Wafers 9 years ago, because I was in groups like this in the wine world, that said, we made a piece of content. It was an $18 execution, and said, I love my husband and children at the top of the piece of content. And then below it, it said, when they're not home. And that thing got 44 million organic views through sharing on Facebook, because it was the truth. And you guys speak the truth in there a lot about the husbands.
Sometimes about you too, Gary.
Fair enough. I appreciate you so much. I know we got into like some of the fun stuff. I knew I was going to go off beaten paths with you. Is there anything we didn't touch on as I segue here?
No, I love you, Gary, and I love your team, and you guys are doing great work, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's keep it going. Bye, Gail. Take care.
All right, so before we get into a conversation with Carolyn, we're actually going to shift our dialogue to gaming. So we have Chris Bruzzo, who's here with us, Chief Marketing Officer of EA. He's been there for 6 years, and we were talking about what he was doing 6 years ago compared to what he's seeing now during the face of COVID. I can tell you in my household, everyone's a little upset at the moment because they had to get off of all of their gaming platforms so that I could make sure I had the best internet in the house. So super fired up to hear more, Chris.
Chris, thank you so much for being on, brother.
Thanks, Gary. Hey, listen, sorry, there's a dude in the middle of these two great women that you get to interview.
Listen, I need it. I need some video game talk. I need some dude stuff. Like, I need the balance of both of those chemicals inside of me. So I'm pumped you're here.
Should we talk about our eyebrows? Because this is the thing I'm working on.
Yeah, mine are pretty legit.
I don't know, this area here.
I'm feeling good. Chris, it's C Bruzzo, right? Bruzzo on Twitter. Huge explosion on Twitter and across all social right now for this event. So I'm going to tweet him out while I let him introduce himself. Why don't you introduce yourself so I can give you that cosign? And for everybody who's watching, hashtag marketing for the now, the quotes and the things you're sharing. This is really interesting to watch. So we appreciate it. Chris, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more than just the intro Andrea gave to you, what your remit is as CMO of one of the great gaming companies in the world.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Gary. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Electronic Arts. In my role, I'm responsible for all the people who create all the marketing as well as the commercial teams. So we've put sales and commercial operations at the company and marketing together. So we've got that full cycle with the customer, and we're seeing everything from how we bring the games to them, to how they engage with them, to being responsible for the P&L, for driving the revenue of the company. And it's that complete loop that really, puts us in a position to make a big impact.
So this has been a wild thing for everybody. I can't imagine that, unfortunately for some businesses, airlines, restaurants, hotels, other side of the coin. This has been a pandemic that absolutely has winners and losers. That's the truth about business. It's the truth about life within this. Where I'm interested in talking about with you is, obviously I'm a owner of the Minnesota Rocker and the Call of Duty League. So I'm heavily paying attention. It's one of the biggest places VaynerX is going in consulting and creative esports gaming. Give us an insight to the insanity that you must be seeing with all this potential growth that I'm assuming that you're going to now confirm or not confirm.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you said it. It's insane. This is record breaking. You realize this is the time of the year where not a lot of games come out. This is a quiet time of the year. This is when, sports are in their late stages and everybody's getting geared up for the games that are coming in the fall. And we're having record-breaking engagement at this time of the year. And what's cool is we're seeing not only veterans come back and play more of the games they love, we're seeing so many new people play games for the very first time. And so that's a responsibility.
How are you seeing that? Just straight registrations to the platform?
Oh, yeah. I mean, realize we have, we see about 300 million people a year who are all registered with Electronic Arts. So when we see tens of millions of new people coming in that we've never seen before, it's very obvious. And then we also see people who haven't played Madden in 3 years who are back playing Madden. People who haven't played FIFA, they're back playing FIFA. And the Sims community is fucking off the charts.
That's so cool. So Chris, what's been the biggest challenge? So all this, obviously in the macro, P&L / growth, all that, everyone's excited. There has to be inevitable breaking points. For example, Gail mentioned wine text. My dad is happier than life. Carolyn's coming up next. I know she's been a big advocate. Chris, I just looked at your registration. You are not signed up. So we have a huge problem, you and I. But the problem there is we can't keep up. Like we're actually slowing down the growth of the service because we can't hire enough people to pack the products properly. Logistics. You're more virtual than we are, which is the beauty of your business. But have you had logistics issues of hyper growth?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, just keeping up with online volumes isn't always a problem, but this year particularly, particularly challenging. How do we manage all of that? But also, developers used to be able to make a game and then take some time off and then gear up for the next game. Now they're developing year round. And the same is true for the marketers. We're driving events and events and events. Like when this thing started and got serious in March, you know, we'd already seen it happen because we have major operations in Shanghai and in Korea. And so we knew this was coming. And we just pivoted to start generating events almost every single day. So what's the downside? People are tired. Like this has been going on for a while and we are just lining up event after event after event. But I got to tell you, while we're tired, we recognize this is our time.
The moment. This is go ahead.
Now is a time when champions are built. Hell yeah. Now is a time when champions are built.
Chris, you have a dream job for about 38% of human beings on Earth. Like, yeah. you know, how did you get into this? Like, how did you get so lucky? And how old are you, Chris?
I'm 50.
Damn, you look good, bro. I didn't have time for that. So even better. Because by being 6 years older than me, you even had a little bit more time to absorb arcade culture and Atari culture. You know, A, how'd you get into this? B, and don't bullshit it, Chris, because we'll do some homework. How hardcore video games were you? Because at 50, you could only be so hardcore because, as you know, video games was kind of nerdy, and if you wanted to get the girls or do whatever else, like, so give me your truth.
Okay, well, but seriously, first we have to start with, I'm sitting in my office and I'm surrounded by jerseys of some of the best players in the world because working at Electronic Arts as a CMO, I get signed kits. So, you know, I've got like Leighton Baines is my favorite Everton player over here. I've got Kun Aguero, who's my favorite Argentinian player over there. And here's the best one of all, Gary. I have a signed jersey from fucking Pele. Look, Pele.
You ready for this? This is not a joke. Oh, shit. This sucks. Guess what? Right here in my actual office, right up here, it's cut off. I have a Pele too.
Okay, there you go. All right, listen.
It's crazy, but go ahead.
Okay, so yeah. First of all, I have been gaming all my life, and actually I got one of the first Fat Macs, and I used to play SimCity on it back in the 80s. You know, all the early games, and I actually ran a little BBS out of my house on a dial-up modem.
Oh, so you're a nerd, Chris. You're a nerd.
Yeah, but then I got into entertainment, and after 10 years of doing healthcare marketing, I got the chance of a lifetime to hop over and work for Amazon.com. And at Amazon, I got to work on all kinds of cool entertainment stuff. And you know, we did a original program with Bill Maher. We did all kinds of interesting things, and that really started me. And then I went to Starbucks, and I got to work on the music team and help to program all the music, and we had our own record label. So that was really the pivot for me. But the whole time I was a gamer. So all my time at Amazon, my time at Starbucks, it was all entertainment, but it was all digital work. And then that led me to Electronic Arts, and now I just, you know, we get to make content, make stories every day.
Chris, talk to me about the biggest misconception about how easy it is to launch a monster title. You know, like I think people are a little bit naive. Like you make a video game and it becomes a 20-year thing because there is the Maddens and the FIFAs and things, excuse me, and things of that nature. Like, how much do you stress at the org of like, look, we've got these icons that we have to feed, but we have to, you know, create something new. Otherwise, eventually this game is going to end.
Well, you know this from your work with Call of Duty, Gary. I mean, EA Sports puts out a brand new title every single year at the start of the season. So that is a huge endeavor. These things, and then we have those games that we take 4 years, 5 years, 7 years to make because they're huge open worlds. These things have budgets the size of major blockbuster feature films. These things take thousands of people to actually, you know, bring to market. So it is, it's daunting, and it's software. So it's, you know, it's filled with bugs, and it's a major challenge. It's a huge human endeavor to get one of these things off the ground.
How are the people, you have so much data similar to Gail, how are people using the platforms different? Are they doing different franchise modes? Is Sims getting weird? Like people like, you know, my little guy talked about punt returning yesterday about Madden. Like, are you seeing any shifts?
Yeah. We should let's talk about the Sims for a second. You know, everybody's putting out surveys right now about Gen Z. How is COVID-19 going to affect Gen Z? Okay, I love all that. Yes, read the survey results. But you know what is just as interesting, actually more interesting? Go watch what Gen Z is making in The Sims right now. You want to get a hit on what's bothering them. You want to get a hit on what matters to them. Go watch them live stream what they're making in The Sims. They're hosting their graduation parties on The Sims, and they're recreating everybody in the event, their best friend wearing the dress they were supposed to be wearing. It's unbelievable to see, to see that happen. So yeah, people are expressing themselves through these platforms because this is a generation of creators who are coming up, and they've got tools like The Sims to create their own stories and content.
Biggest mistake that you completely thought was going to be a massive marketing campaign that it's your L, your complete loss. Like you thought it was going to be a monster. I'll go first in the super short term. I've talked about it a lot, and I can see Carolyn in my view. She's backstage. I spent $15,000 to do a wine enthusiast email blast to their whole list. I was completely convinced it was going to dominate. I was so fired up. I couldn't sleep the night before. This 2 weeks ago. Because I get more happy building my dad's business than my own businesses, because that's just the immigrant I am. Super pumped. It goes out. I can't wait. I'm working all day, so I'm busy. Hit up Brandon, my best friend who runs Wine Library. Super pumped. Hit up JMO, John Morgenstern, the brilliant, marketer on the media side at our VaynerMedia, VaynerX, who I was like, what's going on? Dud. Back to Carolyn, shout out. Should have kept my money on Facebook and Instagram. I was completely convinced. Huge L for me, Chris. Me losing a $15,000 bet for Sasha is worse than me losing a $15 million bet for myself.
No, I get it.
Pissed. Dad's pissed, Chris.
Yeah.
So I need you now to tell me
a
huge miss. Like you did a real fucking thing. It was your fucking thing. You maybe blamed someone else, but you're going to expose the truth here right now. You were confident it was going to be a monster.
Yeah.
It fucking sucked. Chris, take the floor.
All right. When Obama was up for election the very first time, and the country needed hope, we did something cool at Starbucks, which was we invited everybody in and said, if you vote, you get a free cup of coffee. And it was a huge success, Gary, a huge success.
I remember.
And so I was like, okay, awesome. 60 days later, we're going to do another one. We're going to invite everybody in the world in, and they're going to tell us that they've given 5 hours of their time to volunteer, and we'll give them a free cup of coffee. Massive failure, complete disaster. People, two things. One, it was like, we already heard that joke. Do you have a different joke? Like, are you just doing the same thing over and over again? That's a problem.
Yeah.
You get stuck on that. And the other one was people started negotiating with our store partners.
I remember.
I gave 3 hours. Do I get like a small cup of coffee, or I'm going to give 7 hours? Do I get 2 cups of coffee? It was a disaster. So that was a major lesson learned.
I appreciate you, brother. I can't wait to see you again soon. Thank you for all the great work you're doing.
Right on, Gary. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Of course, did a good job. All right, Andrea.
So next up, we've got the beloved Carolyn Everson. She's adored by the entire industry. We're very lucky to have her. Carolyn leads the global business group for Facebook and champions all the relationships with top marketers and agencies. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm having a bit of a meltdown because my lawn is getting mowed right now and it's so loud. So I just told Taylor, I'm like, run out there and tell him to stop.
Who are you talking to? We would like it. We prefer that. This is
it's just chaos.
All right, Carolyn, you know where the first question's going.
I actually don't.
Let me help you. How did you feel when I defeated you in our plank challenge a couple weeks ago on Instagram Live, where I was completely blown away by your physical stature, but my mental fortitude refused to allow me to lose?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about that. I'm actually glad you brought it up. I'd like a rematch.
Okay.
And this time I want the camera.
Yes, I saw you.
Your whole body.
By the way.
The whole body.
Super in. I saw that little comment, that dig. I hear you. I don't know if you thought like somebody was holding me up or I was I understand. I understand what you're trying to allude to. It makes me very happy because I will do it again.
And you screwed up with my mind because you told me first of all, you told me your back hurt. Then you told me you couldn't do this. Then you said to me, 7 minutes, can you go 7 minutes? So you played with my mind in a way that was like masterful. And I need a rematch.
Okay, fine.
I need a rematch.
Listen, you are the fucking best. You are such an incredible executive. I admire you so much as a human and as an operator. You know, Facebook, poof, it seems like every day right now, crazy good, which, you know, where I've sat historically on the platform, you know, the retail executions got me excited. You know, the stock price seems to be on fire. I think you just announced something right now, which I'm not sure you could or can't speak to, about like the work from home thing, but just innovation is so rapid out of Facebook Inc. right now, you know, and let's call a spade a spade. Facebook, from a comm standpoint, not from its merit standpoint, has had a challenging 36, 24 months. Am I wrong in thinking that like just the nature of such a big event is starting to remind people of like, oh yeah, there's this part too? Like, do you feel morale up? Do you feel fired up? Like it's, you know, thoughts?
Yes. So look, for sure. I think, look, the last 3 years pre-COVID were very challenging for our company. And there was a lot of criticism, much of it justified, frankly, on.
Much of it not, on the fucking record. I know you can't say it, but I'm fucking saying it. Fuck
some
that
of it
shit.
wasn't, but some of it was. And I think what happened is that we learned a lot. We learned a lot from all of those crises. And now the velocity of decision-making, the pace of innovation, Mark, this is like the COVID crisis is like an intersection for Mark as a leader of having a platform that reaches 3 billion people and knowing the responsibility we have to keep people connected, keep them informed, and help restart the global economy, combined with his philanthropic work at CZI, which is deeply focused on health and education. You take those two circles and they intersect, and Mark is in a sweet spot, and he is leading us in such a compelling and powerful way. And you can feel it in the company. The company has energy. We're putting out products, messenger rooms, Facebook shops, 100 million for small business grants, 100 million for the news publishers. It's literally drumbeat after drumbeat right now. And I think everyone recognizes the enormity of our responsibility that we have to people, to businesses, to governments. And yes, a lot of people that had been negative on the company are starting to see, you know what, actually having the ability for the Singapore government to reach all of their constituents through WhatsApp and give them accurate information, that's a pretty good thing. It matters.
For everybody who's watching, because I know the quotes have been going on fire on Twitter, thank you for everybody. I'm retweeting like crazy. So if you want to hack me, let's get quotes and screenshots of this. Hashtag marketing for the now. Carolyn's Twitter handle is C Everson, Everson. I follow you, Carolyn, so I know that one. C Everson. Carolyn, explain to everybody what you do at Facebook, like just in a double click.
So I lead the global business group. And what that essentially means is medium, large businesses that utilize our platforms to help grow their businesses. I oversee those teams around the world. I also oversee our agency team, our creative team, and our marketing science team. So basically, whatever a business needs to utilize the platforms to grow their business, that's the team that I have the privilege of overseeing. And I've been at Facebook a little over 9 years, if you can believe.
Huge. Where'd you come from before then, just for context of the career?
I was at Microsoft for a very short period of time, 9 months when I got plucked out, but I spent about 7 years at Viacom, did some time at Disney, and did early digital. I was responsible for the original pets.com, but got fired before I even started, really.
Hey, Carolyn, did you do the Super Bowl commercial?
No, I got fired before that. Yeah. By the way, Gary, it's 1:39 and my dad says hi. That's his alarm that goes off every day. And I'm with you. How cool is that?
Don't make me cry.
No, that's like super meaningful.
That is meaningful. We're officially giving a preview. There will be a crying session between Carolyn and I just because that's insane.
I know. That's weird. He's with us. He's like, hey, I want to join this.
Carolyn's father passed away recently and we were very close. And I once sent Sam Darnold and Curtis Martin to his house. Big shout out to those incredible people. And I'm going to lose it.
Yep.
Here's something crazy. I set it off. My alarm goes on every single day at 1:37 p.m. because we own 1:37 p.m. Me and Ryan Harwood as a men's publishing site. And that's literally the name of our company.
Oh no, how that's so you got 1:37, I get 1:39.
Kind of weird.
That's
every time.
Okay.
Every time. Carolyn, let me take you, I want to make this show meaty. I, behind the scenes, have been very aggressive with you directly, you and your leaders, that I do not understand why you pander too much for the biggest companies in the world when your product is better, and that I feel that you have such an opportunity to get more marketing share, because your job is to get business in the biggest agencies, the biggest brands. What is the current sentiment around your platform from the big brands? Do you see something happening here as upfronts are getting challenged? For everybody who doesn't know anything about marketing, the marketing industry tricked the biggest companies in the world and made them commit money up front for better deals on commercials, which made sense in the 60s, maybe even the 80s, but fucking Christ, the last 20 years makes no sense. Is there been any movement in, just so let me just set the stage, because a lot of people don't know this. For all the entrepreneurs, mid-market, up to the top 5,000 companies, there is no better option than Facebook and Google. Once you go above that, there's still a ton of confusion, which has been the opportunity for so many of us to build our personal brands, our company's brands, and Facebook has dominated that universe. I've always felt the Coca-Colas, the BMWs, the Mercedes, everybody that's been on this show, underspending on the platform. Do you feel anything moving in these last 60 days as people start questioning $400,000, $800,000, $4 billion production TV executions? What are you sensing?
I'm sensing that the trends that were happening before COVID have just accelerated, in some cases taking 5 to 10 years of innovation that likely would have taken 5 to 10 years of innovation, and are happening in weeks, if not days. And it's happening across every single vertical. We're going to come out of this COVID period of time with consumer behavior is fundamentally changed. Now, you've been on the forefront, Gary, about talking about consumer behavior for years. And to some degree, I think we even at Facebook get sick of saying our own story. Hey, consumers have shifted to mobile. There's a new behavior. And now I think the world can't deny it. Grandparents know how to order their groceries and have them delivered to their doorstep. I can use wine text and press a number and have bottles of wine delivered to my door. These are behaviors that are not going away in a post-COVID world. If anything, the innovation has just accelerated rapidly. So we are seeing many big companies leaning into direct-to-consumer campaigns, leaning into changing their business models. Some move faster than others. But what I am hearing is bureaucracy is melting down. Companies
Yes.
finding their voice.
Speed.
The velocity, right? The velocity is just there. Like you can't afford to be late to this game. Mark said in January, it was one of the very best questions. I think he's a very, as you know, very astute, asked a lot of great questions. He asked the question of the senior team, what do we need to do today so that we don't regret not doing it in 2 to 4 weeks? And that's when COVID started in China, right? And what he was saying to his team, to all of us, was what do we need? Like, we have to move now so that in 2 to 4 weeks, we're not like, oh shit, we should have actually moved a hell of a lot faster 4 weeks ago. And I think that's a really powerful question for every size business.
Carolyn, speaking about grandparents, I've been on this massive thing where I just can't believe how easy it is to market to 50 to 90-year-olds on Facebook. It is, besides TikTok and youth, it is the single most exciting thing for me as a marketer. I talk to all my clients who try to reach certain demos, and they talk about needing linear television to reach 50, 60, 70, 80-year-olds. And I laugh because there's been no comp in the A/B test for me. Does Facebook struggle with promoting the fact that they dominate 50 to 90 because they don't want to feel older? Or has it not leaned in enough when it's actually a significant alternative to television at a price that I think is better? And by the way, I can't wait, Carolyn, for you to go and be an executive at a company that I don't believe in. So you can see that I don't say these things because I love you. I say them because I want to be historically correct. I'm selfish here, but it just happens that during this time, we get to align on where my points of view are. Has Facebook done a good job or a bad job? Very simple. I'm getting a little hardball here on communicating to people how obnoxious the attention is of the 50 to 90-year-old set in a world where people spend billions of dollars on TV commercials in 2021 to get to that demo.
I think we've done a poor job. at talking about that. I don't think we've highlighted that enough, and I think it's totally fair. Look, I know you want to be historically correct, and you're very bullish on our platforms and all social platforms, but you're also somebody that's been very direct with me on what we could be doing better. And we're not out there touting our older demo story the way TVs, and I think it's a big opportunity. Here's what I do know is that our platforms work. They drive business results, and 8 million businesses depend on us every single day to grow their business. And so for me, it's not even about getting share shift from TV or anything. I go into every single client meeting with the same objective. What are your business challenges? You should only invest on our platforms if we're driving growth in your business. Period. End of story.
Period.
And they have to believe it. That's it. That's the only game that matters. I'm not there to sell them impressions. There's a gazillion impressions out there. They can do all sorts of things. But I want the client, the end client, to say when I'm not in the room, I want them to look at their market share sheet, look at their P&L, and I want them to say to their team, wow, our business is being driven a hell of a lot by Facebook and Instagram. That's what we need to do.
Got it. Carolyn, very important question for my dad. From a scale of 1 to 10, how much happiness has winetext.com brought to your life?
10, but it's a problem because I'm addicted to it. Although today I ordered 6 of the bottles.
Did you get it?
Of the red.
I got 6. Out. You got a confirmation?
I got a confirmation. I got 6, but the other day I missed the rosé, and I was really mad about that. But I am obsessed with your service, and I think it's game changing, like game changing. You know, I'm such a big fan. But think about that service, and think about how that could be applied to tons of products.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. Now,
I'm not building it. I'm not building it because I know that Facebook Inc. will copy it in seconds on WhatsApp. So I'm not even.
It needs to go into WhatsApp. It needs to be in a WhatsApp. It needs to be in Messenger.
Let's go. Finally, I'm kicking you off the show because I just saw Rob Flaska just tweet, my God, Carolyn Everson, my new favorite person. Sorry, Gary V. So Carolyn, before you steal any more of my followers, I'm going to be saying goodbye.
I actually feel, please thank him for that, because I felt like your followers were just so in love with you during the plank challenge. And I didn't feel like I was getting much support at all. And everybody was wishing you were going to win and cheering you on. And I was feeling really insecure.
Good news. Everybody in the marketing industry was devastated that I won. And I just want to remind everybody in the agency landscape, I'm always going to win. It's been written. So just fucking deal with it.
Gary, I love you.
I love you more. Bye. See ya.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, it sounds like the rematch is officially on. We've got one more. Last but not least, Kenny Mitchell joins us as Chief Marketing Officer for Snap. He's their first ever Chief Marketing Officer, and he oversees everything from consumer and product to all the marketing programs. Thanks so much for joining us, Kenny.
Thanks for having me. How can I be batting cleanup when ARod was on the count? Like, I don't even understand this.
Because, Kenny, you led the nation. Everybody who's watching, this is real. This man, this handsome man who's lost like 10 pounds visually, I'm impressed. I need to talk to you about that. You look in shape during this time. I'm impressed. You've lost some weight, I can tell. This man led the nation in assists. The NCAA. This man led the nation in assists. This is a talented, multi-dimensionally talented man, and that's why you get to do cleanup, because you also are a world-class athlete and had your moment to shine. Tell the details, Kenny. Don't be humble, and then I'll do the full intro.
So I love your diversity of going from a MLB Hall of Famer to an Ivy League, point guard. But my senior year in college, I had the distinction of leading the nation in assists, the NCAA in assists. And I love to
shout out to your school.
Big shout out to Dartmouth. Hey, Big Green. I love to tell the story that same year, the person who led the nation in scoring was none other than Tim Duncan, who went on to play 19 years in the NBA, make $200 and some odd million, 5 championships, and I became a marketer. So we're like essentially
the same.
The same. Yeah.
Kenny, what is your Twitter handle for everybody? Because the quotes and the screenshots have been crazy. The hashtag is marketing for the now.
@KMitch. I was an early enough adopter to actually have my nickname.
Mitch, M-I-T-C-H. Kenny, give everybody 1 minute on the Incredible Hall of Fame marketing career at Gatorade, at McDonald's, now Snap, and anything else I missed.
Yeah. So I've spent the preponderance of my career actually at PepsiCo. I was leading marketing, or a variety of marketing roles at Gatorade, most notably, where I got to the humbling experience of leading an iconic brand and working with some of the best athletes of the world, best properties of the world, some of the sharpest marketing minds of the world. Spent a little bit of my career as well at McDonald's. Spent some time actually at NASCAR.
Literally a cup of coffee. And on the record, shout out to McDonald's. I like their coffee. Not too long ago, because then you had a big opportunity.
Yeah. I got a big opportunity here at Snap. It's a platform that I've been a believer in as an advertiser since the very beginning. And it started during my time at Gatorade. Gatorade is such a consumer-driven company that it was not uncommon for us to be spending time directly with our consumer, which are competitive athletes. And they were telling us back in 2011 and 2012, like, this is Snap, this is where it's at. This is how I communicate with my friends. We actually would get questions from Gatorade's version of influencers, which are like athletic trainers, nutritionists, dietitians, and they're like, is this just for sending nudes? Like, what's this thing about? So our team had to kind of do a deep dive to just learn about the platform, and really believed in this notion of this generation kind of transforming the way that they communicate, and communicating visually as being like the primary format of doing that, whether it be sending photos or sending videos. And it's just like an incredibly sticky use case, and doing it with your friends was something that we just thought was like super compelling. So the moment Snap started allowing advertising, I think it was 2015, we were one of probably the first 5 or 10 to market, and really learned the platform incredibly well. Saw a tremendous amount of value in the creativity of the ad products, the reach of the consumer. They were a pain in the ass to work with, to be honest. Especially
they were so young.
Yeah,
they were so young. You know,
exactly.
These big companies. I mean, this is what's happening with TikTok, and it's what's going to happen with the next 4. Like when you're so young, right?
Yeah, you're trying to figure things out. So we were
Kenny, I apologize for interrupting, but I'm just like too anxious for this question, because I'm real curious. I actually don't know the answer to this. What's the biggest thing that marketers and the consumer world doesn't know about Snap?
I'd say the one insight that you would find really interesting that's probably not well known is that the scale of the platform. One example of that is that in the US, Snap has a larger community of 25 plus people than Twitter has in all of the US.
Say it one more time for people to hear.
I'll say it one more time for the people in the back. Because Snap is known as a platform for younger folks. We have more people in the US 25 plus than Twitter has in all of the US, all ages. So,
and what is that grounded in? Is that grounded in downloads US active?
That's grounded in daily active users versus Twitter's version of the monetizable daily active users. So it's an apples comparison. So the scale is actually tremendous. And part of the reason for that is that it's a private platform. Snap is a closed platform. So understanding the user experience only happens when you're actually using the platform, which is not true for Twitter, not true for Instagram, not true for Facebook. They're all feed-based platforms.
Which changes the viral loop, which makes it deeper, but maybe not as wide potentially, but to your point, wider than most think.
Wider than many think. It allows.
What about Snapchat Originals? Talk to me about that.
Oh, Snapchat Originals, amazing. So it is essentially, us working directly with talent, with production companies, and basically building out original programming. And one of my favorites that we recently did was with Will Smith and his production company, the Westbrook Production Group. Basically thinking about what's happening right now. Will wanted to find a way to kind of like inspire and uplift people. So he created this program, Will from Home, where he was literally at home and kind of connecting with his friends, former castmates, other talent, just kind of like telling the story of what it's like to be at home right now, reminiscing on different, activities that they've done together. It performed incredibly well for us. It reached like 35 million people over the course of the program. And Will himself, like, he's done an incredible job, him and his production company, of understanding how to build for mobile.
He's a communication beast, and communication beasts win on all platforms.
Absolutely.
Period, end of story.
Absolutely.
Period, end of story.
So, we have across originals, we have them that are created not just in the US, we have originals in Europe, originals in Asia. And the scale of it is actually really phenomenal. We have somewhere between 50 or 60 different shows that reach 10 million community members during a given season, which is pretty darn miraculous.
What's been the difference between marketing a platform, because your job is to market the platform, versus marketing a beverage or a QSR? Like, what's been the biggest shift? Because that is a shift.
It is. I'll tell you that the places where I think it's been really, really fascinating. One is having been an advertiser and now having accountability both for the consumer side as well as the advertiser side. I know the sales pitches that have come in when I've been on the other side of the table, and also what that means in terms of where the gaps may be in terms of the way that Snap has told its story. So that's been, I think, benefited from having that perspective and that point of view, but that's also been wildly different. I've never had as many stakeholders to think about as you're building out messaging. One from a consumer perspective, one from an advertiser perspective, another from an agency perspective, maybe some from a DR advertiser. So it's the stakeholders and trying to find messaging that is that's addressing the variety of their needs has been pretty different.
What's on your mind through this thing? What is a top priority for Kenny and Snap during this 6, 7, 8, 12, 18-week period? Like, what's kind of, when I say what's on your mind and putting on your professional hat, what kind of comes to the top?
The thing that's been the biggest priority for us has been kind of embracing the responsibility that we have to support our community.
A communication highway, which it's important. It's a responsibility.
Well, also with the Snapchat generation, right? So they're younger folks, right? So think of Gen Z, think of younger millennials. That's kind of like the bread and butter of who makes up our community, and making sure that we are providing them the education, providing them the inspiration, providing them the engagement. It actually, as a leadership team and as a company, we've actually felt a tremendous responsibility to help ensure that we're providing the right tools, the right education, the right information to make sure that our community is well supported during such like a tricky time. If it's a platform that's actually built for communication for those that are closest to you, like, God damn, it could be a more important time to be communicating with those closest to you than right now. So that's been a big focus of ours.
Kenny, what was the biggest exciting thing in your career from Starstruck? Because I think about Gatorade, I'm just being selfish now. Listen, I've been going hard here for 2 hours, so I'm just going selfish now. Like, what was the most, like, I cannot believe I'm hanging out with D Wade would be the one I'm guessing, but there's some other crazy stuff. Snap now too. Like, you've been in some places, my man. So I'm trying to think about, like, just on some honest shit, on some honest human shit. Because one of the fun things about marketing for the now for me is we want the world to, I'm a marketer that real people know. Mm-hmm. And the lineup that we're putting over the next 6 weeks is really, I want the world to know marketers. We have an inner industry that knows who these people are. 99% of the world doesn't know who the CMO of anything is. And I want people to get to know more of the people that I admire, whether I know them well or I don't know them at all, on this marketing, now program. So I'm trying to go into Kenny the human for all the people that are following you now that are going to build a real relationship with you. Give me a true human story. Where were you like, like calling your like moms or like your girl or like you know, like your buddy and be like, you will not believe the commercial I'm doing tomorrow. Like, give me the true thing. Probably when you met Gary Vee, I get that. But besides that, by the way, for the record, when he met Gary Vee, he was like, who the fuck is this dude? So go ahead.
So first of all, I have actually hung out with you in public and have watched scores of people request a photo or so, like, you know, don't suggest that that you're something other than a celebrity yourself. But you know, I've really been fortunate. I've had a chance to work with the likes of Michael Jordan or Serena Williams or Peyton Manning or Usain Bolt. But I tell you, one of my absolute favorites is Dwayne Wade.
He's the best human.
He's just a great human being. He has a great team around him. And I've actually had the privilege of traveling with him for some international programs that we've done on the Gatorade business. And one that was like incredibly eye-opening is actually both of them had this dynamic to it. But we went to China and then we went to Australia over the course of about a year and a half. And when we went to China and we landed, there were 1,000 people at the airport waiting. It felt like the Beatles were kind of coming to town. And I personally had never seen anything like that. So like to kind of be wading through the exit of the airport and seeing all of the love and adoration and folks crying, like it was really insane.
Nice.
And then when we went to Australia, it was during the NBA lockout. So I think it was like 2011, I think was the year. And I remember we were doing like this appearance and some dinners and a few other things. And this cat tweets out like, hey, I'm going to be at this place doing this thing. He tweets it out maybe like a half hour or an hour before the actual appearance happens. And I swear to God, there's like 5,000 people outside.
That's amazing.
It was insane. So we do the appearance and the media stuff inside. He walks outside and there's just, it looks like Lollapalooza. And it was pretty remarkable.
Kenny, you're one of my favorites. Keep up the good work. I really appreciate you. Thanks for being a part of this. We're going to definitely ask you to be back on.
Well, thank you so much for having me, brother.
Love you, bro. Talk to you soon.
So Gary, it sounds like we're going to have to get Dwayne Wade on, then we'll have a chance to get Kenny to come back. What do you think?
I think that's a very good idea. I'm going to text him right now.
Okay.
And the reason I said that was 100% humble brag. Just there's no confusion. Andrea, I assume we're wrapping up, right?
I can't believe it's been 2 hours already, but yeah, I think we're wrapped.
I have an idea.
Next week.
I have an idea. I think we need to have a newsletter. I think a lot of people would like to get the email like 3 minutes before we go live for the next one. So I don't know what the right email is right now. I know I'm throwing you for a curveball. I know you and the team have worked ridiculously hard to have everything organized, but of course I'm ideating while I'm here. And I know that the 1,300 that are still with us are definitely going to be with us for the rest of the series. If you're doing that, can we send it to info@VaynerMedia? Do we want to send it to Amy's email directly and put it into MailChimp? Like, what do we want? Does anybody have an idea? We're improving here, Andre. This is my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
What email can we send everybody to right now? And if you're watching right now and you're going to sign up to get the email to make sure you don't miss the next one, you can just, when you send it to this email, in the title, put sign me up. We're just going to take your email, put into a MailChimp and hit you up. Is there any email, Amy, Summer, Andrea, anything we should send it to? I mean, info might be the generic one. So I don't know if we want to cloud that. Do we want to send it to one of yours personally? I see Amy shaking her head. Anybody got an idea?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is when everybody's exiting today, you're going to get an invite for next Thursday's episode right away. So you can sign up right there. And then we'll get you on the series because we've got 5 more to go. So we'd love to have you join. Also, if you go on VaynerMedia.com and VaynerX.com, there'll be links there so that you can sign up. And then you can also hit me up on Andrea.Sullivan@VaynerMedia.com.
There's also, looks like a marketing for the now at VaynerX.com. Marketing for the now at VaynerX, Vayner, VaynerX.com. Just email that right now. Say, sign me up. We're going to make sure, I don't think there's any confusion from anybody that we're about, it happened about 3 minutes in for me. I'm like, right, this is something that will be going on in perpetuity. I like it too much. The speed was great. I think we nailed the format out the gate. I hope you enjoyed it today. I have to go do a board call now for 3 hours, so different energy type. But if you enjoyed this, please hit me up right now. The thousands that are here, please hit me up right now on Twitter with hashtag marketing for the now on your observations. I know I love you and it was great. That's fine. But 1 or 2 observations about the show. I'll retweet and follow some of you as well. Andrea, team, I already said in the beginning, big home run for you and the team, a big win internally. All the WhatsApps and Slacks and email threads from the entire team have been exploding. Summer, amazing job on the 1s and 2s, usually held down by Dustin in the morning. Summer, you might have to come and make an appearance on Tea with Gary V. I don't know if you're ready for that level of fame. I don't know if you're ready for that, Summer, but I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much at VaynerX who supported. Thank you for our incredible guests. What a lineup, and I'm sure the lineups are about to get far more intense because of the buzz that today created. Amy, rest of the team, thank you, everybody. Anything else I need to hit on, or you got it, Andrea?
No, we'd love to see you next week, Thursday, 12:30 p.m.
I'll be there. See you next week, 12:30. Make the calendar invite. You'll get the email as well. Marketing for the now at VaynerX.com. We appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time.